Hello, welcome to FEMME FLEX Friday. I'm Lenda Murray and joined with our current Miss Olympia Bikini, Janet Layug. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I can't believe I'm sitting here with you, like a legend.
Thank you. I love this. Always love having the opportunity to talk to a Miss Olympia, because the reality is until you actually hold that title, things change. There's a responsibility in being Miss Olympia. Just things change. It's different. It's really hard to explain that to others. And knowing your history, first of all, so impressed. So you said you're excited about me. I'm really excited about the fact that looking at your history, that you turned pro in 2013 at the Nationals, won your class, won the overall. 1 year later, on stage in 2014, your first Miss Olympia, and you placed second. That's huge. And up against the current Miss Olympia Bikini Champion, she was 2 times Bikini Champion, Ashley Caldwell. So just tell me a little bit of how that felt. Because we're rewinding back, before we get to how 7 years later, you're now the current Miss Olympia, and you go in your first Olympia up against a 2-time Olympia champion. Just tell me.
Yeah, so taking it back to 2014, I actually, going into the Olympia, I had my pro debut in 2014 was at the Arnold's. And I want to mention this because I think this is kind of important, that I ended up placing 8th.
Okay.
So, you go through a period of winning some shows, and then all of a sudden you're in the Pro League, IFBB Pro League, and my pro debut at the Arnold's placing 8th was that was kind of like a setback, a hit for me. So from the Arnold's going into the Olympia, I had, plenty of time to kind of go back to the drawing board, adjust what improvements can I make, and I had the desire, no, 8th place is not good enough. That's not me. That's not what I'm in this for. We all train to win, but it's kind of we train to become the best that we can be. How can I improve? And I take the photos back and I look, this is not good enough. This is not the look that I want. This is not the look I'm going to bring to the most prestigious show in the world, to the Olympia stage. So going into the Olympia, I trained harder. I was trying to get my mind right and focus in, and I placed second to Ashley Caldwell. And your first year at the Olympia, everyone is like, oh, it's such an honor to be here. And I was definitely in that mode, being backstage with all the competitors, the athletes that you look up to, your inspiration, your motivation that kind of drives you and keeps you going. Being around that was an incredible feeling that I will always remember. It's I'm now competing with people who were my inspiration.
So was there any intimidation? The first Olympia, I remember my first Olympia, so our stories are very similar. Turned pro, and then that following year I won the Olympia, but I had competitors and people that bigger than life, Bev Francis, and I had Corey Everson to live up to. She had just won 6 consecutive Olympias, and she was retired that year, so she wasn't there. But it's challenging, but you kind of have to wipe that out of your mind. So how did you feel walking into the Olympia? Because I know for them, you're the new kid on the block, and maybe they weren't prepared for you.
Yeah, maybe they weren't ready for the competition. You never know who's going to show up and what they're going to look like. And for me, yes, I am competing alongside people who are so big in my mind and inspiration, but I think it's a part of success. And I think this goes to anything you do in life, that you kind of have to, you do have to put that aside and realize that I am here to do what I came here to do. And I came here to be the best that I can be. I worked so hard and, you know, for months and months leading up to this moment and, you know, taking advantage of being on the stage, I knew. And even though I was a newbie to the Olympia stage, I knew it's just like any other stage that I came here to just own the stage. Just own the stage, you know, that's what we do. And there's nothing else you can do going back, like what can I change? You know, I've practiced my posing, I've trained hard, I've, you know, stuck to the diet. When you step on the stage, that's your time to shine. And so when they called me second place, I was just, it's an incredible feeling, you know. I could have been third place and still been astonished, you know, because it's the Olympia stage. Your first year, that's just like, you just go out and just really enjoy the moment, have fun, and you're absorbing every moment and taking it all in. But now that I look back, like, wow, second place to the champion, I'm right there, you know? I have, that means something. That
it's like, huge. It's huge, and that's what I thought when I looked at your competitive history, and I said, she's placed like second 3 times, and that's just really impressive.
Yes, 3 times.
3 times. That's impressive. I mean, and honestly, I mean, I have 3 second place Miss Olympia wins.
We have so much in common.
So much. I competed in the Olympia 11 times, and 3 of the 11 I placed second. And so I know what it feels like to place second. I know what it feels like to defend the title. And now you're in the position where you are the current Miss Olympia. So what's the difference now that you know between second and first, you think?
I definitely want to tap in because I think people kind of forget, they may not look at the history, they may not even know that I placed second 3 times. So the first time it was, you know, like I said, it was a new to the stage show. I was okay with that. But then the second time and the third time, it's kind of like, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow to, you know, be right there, but not yet quite good enough to make it to earn the title. And it's something you really have to, you know, I had the chance to give up, to like, you know, after all these years, like second place, am I ever, in my mind, yes, it was reasonable for me to question, am I good enough? Can I even do this? Am I missing something here? But I knew inside that if I am good enough to get to second place, I had a feeling inside that, no, one day I will be Miss Bikini Olympia champion, I will. And it was this burning desire to keep going after my goal. And that's why I mean, to think about, if I had given up, you know, last year, the year before, I would have never known that I could be here today as the bikini champion.
Yes.
And that's just, it's so special. And I feel like a lot of people can kind of like resonate that if you never give up, if you stay persistent, if you stay, you know, resilient and relentless to your goal, you will eventually get there. You will get there.
Yeah, definitely. Without question. I mean, I look at the fact also, you've been on the Olympia stage 6 times, right? And then I looked and I saw that in 2017, then I didn't see you did compete in 2017, but you did not compete at the Olympia. So,
correct.
Yes. So what happened in 2017?
And actually, so I should have been competing for 7 years, but 2017 was one of the toughest obstacles I had to go through because it's an incredible thing to be invited and be able to make the invite for the Olympia stage. And you know, I'm in prep, and all of a sudden, and I live in Florida, and we are known for crazy weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of that. So this is the time of Hurricane Irma had hit, and it was very devastating to almost all of Florida. that comes into play like some real life stuff where you have to rearrange your priorities. My power went out. I didn't have, things were closed down. I didn't have access to training, to the gym, or even grocery stores. Like I had coolers, I had a generator going. I had no power. It was a thing where we had to like, okay, do we make the decision to evacuate? Do we not? And actually Hurricane Irma had ended up coming right through my town in Polk County.
Wow.
Yeah, so, but going into that and preparing, it's all on the news, what's going on, that's a real life situation. My family, I had to rearrange my priorities of safety first. That means more than anything that you do in life. You can always come back and compete in a show. You cannot get your family back. So, that was something that I had. It was a huge decision that I had to call up the promoter of the Olympia and say, look, this is what I'm going through. And I think that, everyone was kind of in tune with what's going on, like the hurricane coming through that. And they were very understanding, but for me inside what that felt like to have to put the biggest goal of my life, the biggest accomplishment that I ever wanted to achieve on hold, that was hard. That was so hard. But I believe things happen for a reason. I know I had 2 second place prior to that. But I knew that I just felt like, God put things in your life for a reason. And I feel like that was something it told me. I am bigger than just competing. Yes. I take everything into light of what's going on, and that came first to me, safety and priority.
Yeah. Great message to all of the athletes, competitors out there, because you have to be real and realistic and prioritize what's important. And you're an example that, because like you said, you were at the top of your game. You placed second twice at the Olympia, and you had to make that decision to say, okay, put family first, my health first. And so that's amazing. So then you somewhat had some preparation for COVID. When COVID came along and the uncertainty of what would go on in 2020, the Olympia being moved. So you really had some experience from the hurricane to now COVID. And so how were you able to prepare and come out on top?
It was like another, oh my gosh, I went through this with Hurricane Irma, and now, I have to, deal with the COVID and everything, all the changes. But then I take a step back and I realize, well, it's not just me, it's everybody. We are, all going through this essentially. And it's tough. It's definitely tough. And we were uncertain that we were even going to have an Olympia.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
Right.
And, thanks to Dan and Jake and the whole Olympia team to be able to put that on, we definitely have to thank them and the IFBB. For us to have that platform was just amazing. And we had something to look forward to, with all the negativity from COVID for the whole year. We had something positive to look forward to. And I think that with the extra time, we had more time to put in. And really, it was challenging for all of us. But coming out on top, knowing that we can go through a prep, we can handle these challenges that well, that we can. It really made us all look like, wow, we could really do anything. And to be able to, and for me to come out the best that I ever have physically, I think my mindset was very dealing more than with just training though, because I don't know if, I did mention this at the Olympia at the press conference, that not only was I dealing with the COVID restrictions and all the complications with that, but my father, we found out that he had lung cancer this past summer.
Wow.
And that's kind of during the start of my prep. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a huge thing to deal with. And I was there every step of the way with his going through surgery and the recovery, and it was a lot for me to handle on top of training and you know, the whole dieting and trying to like be the best that I can under the restrictions and close down at the gyms and stuff like that. So I just feel like it brings back to my mind, like, I can handle this. I've done so many things where I've been challenged by life itself, that I know that I just have to really manage my time and make sure my priorities are straight, like devoting my time to training, devoting my time to family, devoting my time to, like, you know, taking care of my dad. And it was something that just kind of like things started falling into place. Like, as long as I did it, as long as I didn't put one thing on the backboard, then I would just keep going through it, and eventually everything's gonna be right where it needs to be. You know?
And you know, it's such an important point, and I'm glad you shared your story, because people, the fans, they look at you and we see you on stage and there's perfection, you know? And people assume, and especially when you have the history that you have as far as competing, as if you had no challenges in your life. You know, people are, oh, well, how do you diet? I'm having a hard time dieting, you know. Well, and there's all these things that happen where they'll say why they cannot do it, why. And so they look at your perfection and they just think, oh, you know, you've just had 7 perfect years, you know. And I'm like, no.
It's been far from that. I feel like I've gone through many challenges and adversities, many trials of throughout my entire career. And even before competing, you know, many of you guys know that I have a daughter, and not many competitors have that element of family life. And that's another thing to take in consideration. And, you know, you have to, you know, make those sacrifices and priorities in your life. It's challenging. But it definitely, you know, people do look at it and they're like, you make it look so easy. And no, it is so far from that. You know, we all have our challenges that we go through, but I definitely have gone through many tough ones that really just challenge your mentality too. Like, can I keep going? Can I keep pushing to, you know, to get to the ultimate goal? But my desire to get there has always been so strong. That fire's always been burning. So I just never let those things get to me. And I love when people say, oh, you make it look so easy, because you know what? No, it wasn't. And let me tell you why.
Right. Totally not easy. And I think that's just really an important message, because no matter what you're going through, you have to put one foot in front of the other. I hear people talk about our sport, and they're always like, oh, it's not a sport, it's an art. And I say, well, you know, I was an athlete prior to competing on the Olympia stage, and it feels the same. And I think
people always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else, every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
And we're back with the current reigning Olympia champion, bikini champion, Janet Layug. So let's pick up where we left off. We're talking about the sport versus art, and the fact that how much it takes mentally, psychologically, to make this happen, to win the bikini Olympia.
You're right. The mental aspect is very important, very critical to the entire process. People look at it and they're like, oh, you must put a lot of work into, you know, being very strict on the diet and very strict on, you know, with the training regimen. But it's more than that. And the mental part of it it's huge. And mental discipline.
It
So
really
we are not
is.
just disciplined in the things we eat and how we train, but we are mentally disciplined to the routine, that we can always stick to the routine and make the choices where, we have to prioritize and sacrifice, but, we are doing this every single day. It's not just go hard for a week. It's not, we are doing this every single day. And I think that's what separates, or makes this whole, bodybuilding and fitness so unique to the world,
You're right, the uniqueness of it, because putting one foot in front of the other, and like you said, I mean, it's 24 hours. It's, I know how challenging mind and body, because before, when they saw me on stage, they don't understand or realize or recognize how important, truly, like psychologically, every day, getting up and all the things that go on and the energy in your mind and fighting that to get to that stage. It's a lifestyle. It completely is a lifestyle. We are 24 hours a day. We are, when the question comes in, like where we have to make the decision, oh, do I go out with my friends and they're enjoying that social life of whether it's drinking or, it's either do you make the decision not to put yourself in that situation? Do you make yourself say, maybe they'll be supportive and I can bring my food with me or eat before or whatever. You make those, whatever you can do to accommodate that in your life, so you don't have to sacrifice that. Those are things we seriously have to go through in our mind and make those decisions. That's the mental part, because anyone else could be like, oh, well, maybe I'll just not train, or maybe I'll just eat this, or, but we stick to it mentally. It's a mental discipline. Yes, right. Just consistency. And impressed that you're a mother. Impressed that I don't think the women, many of them that play in the top 5 in bikini, I don't know if many if they're mothers. I mean, if they have that added to their list of things to do, that's huge. That's a 24-hour. That is. Job. It's I can't recall anyone in the top 5 that has that element in their life, and not to say anything about how, everyone has very challenging preparation, but having the element of being a mother, that role, that obligation, with your child and their needs, your family has needs. It's a whole nother, level of preparation. Wow. But I feel as though that there's like this stigma with mothers that, once you have a kid, that your life kind of stops there. They don't go on to become, more than that. No, that's not the case. Like, I'm here to prove that I am a mother. I've gone through and I am going through, every single day, having that lifestyle with my family. But they're a part of my journey. Like, they see what I go through. I love that they can learn what I do. They see the hard work that I put in every single day. But they also see that I don't give them up. It is an individual sport, and it's not, I always think of this, that I am choosing to do this. They are not choosing to do this, so I cannot let them suffer in any kind of way or sacrifice my time with them by any means, because they don't deserve it. No. Yeah. You still have, everyone has their, every other thing in their life that they have to deal with, whether it's their job, their family. My family, I would never change anything about that. So I manage my time more efficiently, where I make sure, it's something as small as this. How do you get your, people ask me, how do you get your training in? Or how do you eat? Because when you have kids, you have to cook. Okay, so I will cook food for my family and let them have the things that they eat. But I know, back in my mind, my goal is much bigger than,
eating the same treats that they eat, or if it means that I have to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and do my morning cardio before I take my daughter to school, I'm going to do that because I'm not going to miss out on, that's my motherly duty. That's what, I'm going to take her to school. I'm not going to, I can't take her because of this. No, we make sure that it's still a priority, in our lives. As mothers, we really can do anything that we put our minds to. It's just, we manage our time a little bit, more efficiently. We may not have extra time for certain things, but you have to manage time, your time well. But nonetheless, we can still become anything that we want to become.
Yes, well said, really well said. I love this because people out there, it's just about being consistent, having goals. Sometimes I think they make things complicated, as if it's just you being consistent, having your schedule, being consistent, one foot in front of the other. Some days you feel great mentally, psychologically, and then other days not so, but that doesn't mean or doesn't give us permission to get off track and go do something outside of that.
Honestly, I feel like it's a good thing to have another element that kind of brings you back to real life and not make you so focused on, the process, and you may overthink it, and then, that kind of like goes against you, and my family's always there. They remind me that there's, life is much bigger than what we do, but it's...
Yeah. Well, here's what I want to say now. You're Miss Olympia, and you are the role model. You are the current champion. And what I've noticed from your career is that you dot all your I's, cross your T's. You're involved in different aspects. You're available for photo shoots. You're available to do interviews. So, for your future and goals, what do you have in the mix? I transitioned into being a promoter and putting on shows, and to help, because I know what the athletes go through. I know what it takes. And so, do you have any goals or any aspirations in regards to?
I am someone who just I take something on and I want more out of life. I've always been just keeping my aspirations high, and I think with all the years competing, I've been, well versed and had a lot of experience for, holding down this position. And I just love, with the whole brand ambassador for the bikini division, I want to be able to, help others the way that I wish I could have been helped. I know what it's like not to have that, and I want to be able to help others and help them through their journey, and be that inspiration for them, for years to come. And one thing I'm very, very proud and looking forward to is I am having my first ever fitness event, Battle of the Bodies, July 31st in Fort Lauderdale. And one thing I'm so proud about this event is that so many people around the world have been a part of my journey. They've seen me from the start of earning my pro card and through my whole pro career. But now this is a chance for me to be a part of their journey, their start of their journey. And there's a lot of people who've they're saying it's their first time, and it's such a special thing for me to give back. And I'm throwing an element of there that's part of the proceeds we're going to donate to a children's charity of my hometown in Lakeland, Florida. So I'm very proud of that. And as a mother, I think that to me that just dear to my heart to be able to give something back. So we're doing a lot for the giving back to the NPC, the fitness community, and some charities. So I'm very proud of that.
Wow.
And it's more than that. The entire year I want to be able to meet more people, engage with fans, other competitors around the world and have that face-to-face interaction.
Yes.
So you're going to see me at different shows, different seminars, and just hoping that you guys can take advantage of that, because I know what it's like when you see maybe a celebrity or someone that you really look up to. Not everyone gets the chance to be able to meet them in person and have that like real talk and find out whatever they want. And I try to do as much as I can on social media, but there's something about being in person with them and getting to know them at another level is, there's something there.
That's what I love about this opportunity. That, again, like I said in the beginning, the opportunity to talk to Miss Olympia, our conversation. We know, and I love when we have an excellent role model stepping up, taking that role, great competitor on stage, and now you're giving back because you know what it feels like, the competitors, and just giving back. And that's the true sign, because this is a business. We're competitors, we're athletes, but at the same time, when you win the Miss Olympia, you recognize that it's a business. You're part of a business, and you learn how to juggle both. So
it is, and it's also driven on passion. I've always been very passionate. I love what I do, and that you can see that by the longevity that I've been here in the sport. And I want to be able to take that passion and kind of like turn it and give it back to other people and with their journeys, and teaching them and connecting with them. And I think that's very important to be that role model in their lives.
I agree.
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida. A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
And we're back. Question, what keeps you going? I mean, you've been competing consistently. What keeps you going?
I've been competing a very long time, and I think this is interesting. The most common question that I get from other athletes is, and new athletes, what keeps you motivated? Like, what do you do to stay motivated? And it's a little complicated, because I feel as though that, we all get motivated, right? When we get inspired, we see pictures, of really fit people. We're like, oh man, I want to look like that. And you might put it on your fridge, or make it a screensaver, or you may buy a new gym outfit and you're like, oh, I feel good in this. I can't wait to go to the gym. But that can only last so long, that motivation to, and one of like the biggest things that people do is they fall short of their goals because they give up prematurely on them. And that's driven off of the motivation factor. For me, there's time when I first got in, I was very motivated, very gun-ho, like you couldn't stop me no matter what. But you know what? Every single day after that, it's always been, my passion has always been fueled and driven by being dedicated, being committed to the process. Just like anything you do in life, you're going to be very excited, very motivated at first, but what's going to keep you going? It is the dedication, the will, the commitment that you do every single day to get there. And that's more than just like, that carries over into any aspect of your life and any goal that you want to achieve. As long as you stay dedicated to the process, you stay committed, you do what it takes to get there. Because motivation, it runs dry.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That's
last
great.
that long.
Great point to make. Really great point. Dedication and commitment. You have to be dedicated. So, like you
Absolutely.
said, motivated, you can be motivated to say today you're going to do something, but if you're really dedicated to competing in that show and committed to going through the process, it does work. That's a great point, because that is often, they think that word, motivation, just motivation, but it's dedication, passion, and commitment.
That's what drives us. That's what keeps us going. It reminds us why we should never give up, staying dedicated, staying commitment. And it's not easy. Success is never just that one straight shot up. You go up, you come back down. It's like this. It's crazy. It's all over the map.
Yeah.
But as long as you have it, the one factor that you can control out of all of this, because you can't control other factors in your life, the obstacles that you're going to go through, whatever challenges, or who shows up to a competition. The one thing you can control is your dedication, your commitment, your consistency. You can control that.
Yes. And dedication and commitment, that leads to winning the World Championship, the Bikini Olympia Champion, Janet Layug.
Hey guys, this is Alina Popa with FEMME FLEX Friday, and today I have a special guest in the gym with me, Janet Layug. Janet, I'm so happy that you are here with me today. And as we were talking about working out and just coupling different things in our practice and the way we train, we kind of came to the conclusion we want to talk about the differences and the similarities between our workouts. Obviously, I'm a female bodybuilder and she's our Miss Bikini Olympia. So let's start by discussing about these things. Like, what do you do different? For example, let's say I split my workouts per muscles, right? Per body part. Do you do that the same way?
Yeah, well, to start, I think a lot of people realize there's probably some major differences, like how does this division train and versus this division. So I'm really excited that we can share with you guys those slightly different things. But granted, let's not it doesn't go unnoticed that we all train hard, right?
Yes.
Put in the work. But to answer your question, yeah. So for instance, for my training, I do a split training as well per muscle group for each day. It's important that we isolate and focus on that muscle group and engage it and train it the maximum way we can. We don't want to overwork it and or underwork it, so we want to devote that time in split training.
That's
I think is good.
one thing there that you said, overwork it. I don't believe that there is such thing as working in bodybuilding, right? In the way we approach it. The more failure, the more burn, the more hardcore I train, the more beat up I'm at the end of the workout, the better it is.
Oh yeah.
So do you go to that kind of extreme as well, right? And if you do, for which part of your body?
So for certain muscle groups, for me personally, like for training shoulders, I like to train multiple times throughout the week.
Okay.
I don't train every day, but I do train, I'd say, twice a week. And I'd like to note that per one workout, you cannot, I personally do not do every single exercise that training session. There's just no way for me, I would fatigue out. So I'll do certain exercises for shoulders one day. The next time I train during that week, I'll do the other ones to hit the muscle group in a different way.
Okay, I got it. Do you go, let's say, one of the techniques that I have used in the past was with a lot of weight, right? Let's say a heavy weight that I can only do 4 reps or 5 reps with. Do you go for that as well, the heavy sets?
Yeah, that's an interesting question I get a lot. And for me, it depends on which part of my prep too. So in the beginning, I love training heavier to help build that muscle, to help build the muscles and break them down really hard. Towards the latter of my prep, I kind of like to switch it up with a higher rep, moderate to lighter weight, to kind of burn out the muscle strength that way.
Okay, so then the other question I have, because I know that, I had the clients in the past, and some of them were bikini competitors, and I know that some of those girls, they had to actually, if they had a natural tendency to grow in a certain part of their body, they had to actually lay off the weights. Like some girls never do biceps. Do you have any part of their body that you have to do that?
Yeah, so for certain muscle groups, you can, if you train them, they will grow bigger. And for me, specifically with glutes, I have to make sure that I work them where they're conditioned, tightened, and lifted. I don't
not grow them, right? Grow them out of proportion or of your frame,
and
right?
some girls need that. Some girls need to get them bigger and train them heavy. But for me, I have to train more of like a moderate, maybe light to more reps to tighten and lift. And if I train bigger, then it would take my body out of portion, out of the X frame that is needed for my look.
Okay. What do you do for your glutes?
With glutes, there's tons of different exercises, but one of my favorites, I think is very popular too, is hip thrust.
Okay.
But there's
the
many variations. You can use the machine if you are fortunate to have the glute machine hip thrust at your gym, but many gyms don't have that, so you have to improvise.
Bands, right?
Using the bands, with lunges, kickbacks, donkey kickbacks. You can incorporate machines and cables to isolate and engage the glutes.
Okay, got it. So would you say your key in not growing your glutes out of your frame is, let's say, you wouldn't go with extremely heavy weight, right?
I like to
You'd
use
go more
more
shape exercises, right?
Correct. Shaping, toning, not necessarily super heavy, more of like a moderate to lighter weight, but still engaging.
So is there a body part where you would go full on and you're like, I need to grow this out of proportions? I mean, this is just metaphorical, right? Where you really have to work hard to make them up to par with your whole body.
I love doing that with shoulders. I think it's always so good that, to keep the shoulders big and full, rounded. And I also like doing that with legs too.
Okay.
I think that you can train very hard, but in order to grow, I believe you have to have a certain amount of like protein intake and caloric intake. So there's no way that you can train. You can train really hard, but doesn't mean that you're going to grow necessarily.
So do you prefer to eat less and train hard, or eat more and train less?
I prefer to eat more and train hard, but that's definitely like a balance. Honestly, like I love to eat, but I also know we have to, per training, we have to keep that in line. That's very important to measure and to follow, like, what if some people do macros? I don't do that, but follow a certain amount of caloric intake. That's important alongside training.
Okay. How about, for lats, for your back, right? I know that in bodybuilding, the judges are looking and they want that X frame and they want width and they want thickness, right? And they want the 3D, the pop, and there's a lot of details that go into that. And of course, there's a lot of workout that you have to do for those specific parts. Obviously, in bikini, they don't judge it the same way. Are you going hard, or how are you going? How are you structuring your back workout?
I love back workouts. I love killing the back. And interestingly that you bring up the lats, because it is actually important for me to create an X frame where this is one thing that my coach Kim Odo and I have been working on, is widening the back, going alongside with widening the shoulders too. That's important. Okay. So this prep, we've been working on really strengthening and building, widening the back, And you may say, some people may think, well, you don't even see it, but those little details, they make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know that, like for example, when I'm looking on stage at all the beautiful bikini lineup, not to talk about like the first call out at the Olympia, you girls are all amazing, right? So I know that that's all the way you pose, and then like the quarter turn, the way you stay, those small details, I see them, and that's when I see your lats and the way they tie in, right, is different from a competitor to another. So it's all about training that back in the right way, right? You don't
Absolutely.
Do you do free pull-ups, free weight pull-ups, or you do assisted?
I do assisted. I think that for me, for one, I have longer arms, so it'd be a longer reach. And to fully engage that muscle group and with the perfect form, I think it is important. And it's okay to have an assisted pull-up form.
How many times do you train per week?
I train every day that ends in Y. No, really, I train 5 to 6 days a week. I make sure I get a rest day. I think that is so important, so important. And I truly believe in that. My body does so much better with having that rest day. But of course, to get in all the muscle groups, that fills up 5 to 6 days quickly.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. How about cardio? I know that, a lot of people think that you're in the bikini division and then you have to do just cardio and cardio and cardio non-stop. And my personal opinion of that is that, of course, you have to obviously apply it to a different every person is different with their own metabolism and so on.
Absolutely.
How is it for you?
It's a very interesting topic. And with cardio, I believe that it is necessary to have in conjunction with the diet being strict, with the training. However, I don't believe that anyone should ever overdo it. I think doing too much cardio could be harmful and have a reverse effect on getting that maximum growth with muscle and fat burning as well. I'll say this, that I do love mixing it up from low intensity cardio with high intensity cardio. I like to do a separate session in the morning, something light, like a light cardio. And when I mean light, I mean my heart rate is not like way up there. I mean, it's lower steady state and just kind of like a good moderate heart rate. So I do wear like a heart rate band and kind of monitor that to making sure it's in that zone. And that's its own separate thing. And after training, I like to do maybe like 15 to 20 minutes. Sometimes I'll mix it up with a higher intensity one. I think that's important to kind of like drain out your glycogen stores, and it kind of helps. That's what works for me, and everyone is different. So everyone has their own styles, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I'm letting you guys know that what works for me.
So what is the highest amount of cardio you had to do per week?
So
or per day and
I'd
weight?
say
Ever.
I would do and I don't do this like off season. It's completely different. So when I am speaking specifically towards like a preparation for a show, I'll do 30 to 45 minutes in its own session, and that's a lower intensity state. And then I do love incorporating on its own a high intensity training session. Now that's by itself, that's going to be much shorter, and then I'm talking like 20 to 25 minutes. That is going to be a fast pace, really get your heart rate going up there. And for me, I need that to mix it up. My body responds really well, because if you do too much like low steady state, your body adapts to that and you'll start to plateau.
So that's a maximum of 60 to 65 minutes a day right before a show, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. I do believe that, I was asking you which form of cardio do you do. From my experience working on myself and with other athletes, I do believe that actually the stairs are literally like shaping and getting too much density in them, right? And separation and conditioning. So I was really curious to see, if you do that, if you have muscular legs, that's probably something you wouldn't want to do unless you want to switch to wellness, right?
Honestly, I felt that I used to think that doing stairs would stimulate growth of the legs, but honestly, I can't say I believe that anymore. Because I've incorporated after my training sessions, I'll do 15 to 20 minutes on the stairs, or maybe be elliptical. And I feel like it has helped me kind of like just increase the tone. If I'm working shoulders that day, I love doing the stairs for the cardio right after that session. If I do legs that day, I probably won't do stairs because it's gonna be a lot. Like,
Definitely,
I'll do something more like a elliptical. Change that up. But I always change it. Never the same. Something different each day.
Okay. What is your favorite body part to train?
I love. I love training.
Your most favorite?
Most favorite.
Pick one.
I feel like there's something really powerful with back.
Okay.
I love back, but I also love shoulders. I love just building the shoulders. Just something so empowering and just powerful that comes from the training shoulders.
Okay, so let's say if we were to train together, right? We get together and we're gonna do a leg workout, right? Tell me right now, how is it gonna look like?
Okay, so with legs it's so important to work all aspects of legs, not just, I do see some women, they'll train like more so of like hamstrings, but they'll neglect the quads and doing like leg extensions. It's important to work all aspects. So I like to do walking lunges. I like to
So
incorporate.
what do you start with? Just run me through the whole program one by one.
So I would start with a session of stretching. That's
Okay.
important. You got to stretch the legs before you lock something up. I go into like a lying hamstring curl.
Okay.
Kind of warm things up that way. Then I would like to do the barbell. I do like doing squats, variation of the squats, maybe with the Smith machine.
Okay, Smith machine.
And
squats.
like a narrow stance and a wide stance.
Okay. And how many sets would be of each?
So for me,
the
I
curls
would for the curls, I would do. Sometimes I do a pyramid style training. I'll
Okay.
start with like 20 reps at a moderate to light weight. Then I'll work into getting to a weight of probably 15 reps.
Okay, so those 15 reps, do you go to failure or do you go to burn?
I go to burn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there is a little difference, in that, because in my competitive days, right, I would go every set to failure. Obviously, I would need 2-3 minutes in between each set to recover, right?
Right.
But nowadays, I do train with more burn, so, that you recover faster and you keep on going on. The second exercise, you say, would be a form of squat, right?
Yes, with the Smith machine, I think is really, really nice. I love that. And I do I'll do a wide stance, deep low squat, and then also a narrow one, just to get a variation. I think that's important. And getting like a good range of motion there, not going stopping too short, getting that full range of motion.
And then what's next?
Oh, and then I would do 3 to 4 sets of about 15 reps of that.
Okay, 3 to 4, 15 reps.
And then what else do I do?
The third one, third exercise?
Leg press.
Leg press, okay,
Leg press.
that's it, yep.
I love leg presses. Gotta love it. And also, again, with that, I do a variation of feet positioning is so important. So I would put them high where the toes kind of hang off.
Yep.
You kind of engage the hamstrings more with that.
And your lower glutes there too as you push through your heels, right?
Right. And then also I would do a narrow stance and hit a wide stance. So part of my prep I've done where I would do 10 high, 10 narrow, and 10 wide.
Okay.
And I did 3 sets of that. And I loved training that way because you just hit every portion. And after that workout, you really feel it in all parts of your legs.
Okay, so this is the third exercise. What else would you do?
So also lunges.
Lunges would be like, say, a fourth, right?
Weighted lunges.
Do you do dumbbells or a barbell?
I go with whatever's kind of on hand. I like to mix it up with, walking with the dumbbells or the barbell. Kind of like, if you do it too many times with one, and you get used to it. Changing things up. That's always important. Mm-hmm. What else do we have? We have.
That would be fourth was lunges. Fifth exercise.
I'm thinking. This would be more of like lower half. We have step ups.
Okay.
I like doing step ups. Those I think are really good. It also incorporates the glutes in these workouts too. Weighted with dumbbells.
Okay, I like that as well. And what else?
Leg extensions.
Mm-hmm.
I think is really important to work that top, like the teardrop, the glutes. That's very important. I would do those. Are killer. They truly, truly burn.
The leg extensions.
Yes. So for me, I would do 3 to 4 sets of 15. Try to go to 20 if I can. But I used to be afraid of the leg extensions. Like I was like, oh no. But nowadays.
You were afraid because you thought that you're gonna grow too much.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but now that I've worked them incorporated into my workouts, I love it. Absolutely love them.
Okay. What else? That's it? 5 exercises?
Yeah, I think for that would be a good for one day. I feel like if you do too many, then it would be going against of.
Okay, I got it. So you finish in about an hour, right? Was this more or less?
An hour 15. I don't like to be in the gym too long. I think it's going to have adverse effects of, and I mean, you get tired, So when you feel that, you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm, got the workout in. Maybe do a little bit of cardio afterwards and be done. It's honestly combining an hour and a half at the most, an hour and a half in the gym. Maybe do another session of cardio. Sticking to your diet, you will achieve those results.
Okay. So we had laying leg curls, we had squats, we had lunges, step ups, and leg extensions. Okay, and then everything would be within burn, not failure, right? So the way I was training, when I was competing, I would totally separate it. And you do this twice a week? Your legs twice or just once a week?
I do more of like a quad leg session during that week, and then I would do more focus on kind of like glute, but also, you're incorporating the hamstrings in both exercises. But
in the same week or the week after?
In the same week.
Okay. So I usually used to completely separate them. There would be like just the quads, right? And then just the hamstrings and just the quads themselves. So the difference I see right now in the way I was training and the way you're training, I would have more basic exercises. Of course, there's more intensity there. I told you I would go to failure, and then therefore the breaks would be longer. But I'm starting, as for example, with the quads, I would do leg extensions until my quads exploded. Like there was so much pain, so much lactic acid already, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I would do just a quick hamstring exercise to bring a little bit blood, because I would go there and do a free squat. So when you have blood in both muscles, when you squat, right, you actually help them both, the quads and the hamstrings.
Yes.
And then my squats were extremely heavy and free, right? Free squats. I would be able to do 10, 15, sometimes 20 reps. So I would just change the weight, right? Then I would do leg press. Then I would do maybe a hack squat. Then I would do another leg machine. So we're talking about 5-6 exercises with 4 sets each just for that. So the goal was like, as you said, you're shaping. My goal was like, I would look at them. I was like, grow, right?
You talk to them while you're doing that. Grow.
So I would guess that pretty much the weights we're using, the way we eat, right? From our discussion that we had here, I have the feeling that maybe there are more specific exercises on a muscle group that a bodybuilder would do, right? And of course, we also would have the issue like some competitors are bigger in some areas than others. So then we have to be as attentive as you are. Pay attention to that.
For me, the muscle groups that I wanted to grow this prep for the Olympics specifically was to grow with the legs and kind of getting more muscle, but also shoulders too. So those two things, I definitely did put on some size there. And when you glance on it, you don't really notice it, but when it comes to detail, those little things make a huge difference in the overall look. So people didn't know that, but I did train a little bit more and added more size to the legs and shoulders.
That's awesome. Well, we definitely saw the results. Congratulations for your title again.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for sharing with us your experience and being kind of like able to compare how it's like to go for as big as possible while keeping the lines to being just the right perfect fit for the bikini image, right? So thank you so much.
It's definitely very different in the training styles. There's some similarities there, but I truly appreciate all styles of training because at the end of the day, we're all there for the same goal, to train hard, look a certain way that we want to, and we're there for our fitness and our health.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Thank you for being with us today. Alina Popa and Janet Layug, thank you so much. See you next time.